Therapy. Couples therapy.
Yeah, couples therapy.
Couples therapy.
Couples therapy.
Couples therapy.
Couples therapy. Come on! Therapy. Couples therapy.
I know you have asked at least one of these questions while in a relationship. So today I'm here to answer them for you. But before we get started, I wanted to sincerely thank all of you guys. We're already at 4,000 subscribers and growing, and I can't thank you enough. How do I get him to take responsibility for his actions?
I'm taking responsibility.
The first thing you should do is express your feelings. Calmly explain how you feel and why his actions make you feel that way. This is more art than science, but start by using I statements to avoid blame. For example, I feel hurt when, or I feel frustrated because, and when you do this, make sure to be specific. Don't make vague accusations or talk in generalities. Clearly state the behavior that bothers you and its impact. For example, I feel alone at night when you hang out with your friends. Once you've made that statement, sit back and engage in active listening. Give him a chance to respond without interrupting. Next, I want you to focus on solutions. Instead of dwelling on blame, shift the conversation to finding solutions together. For example, ask, how can we move forward from this in a way that works for both of us? Maybe you can hang out every other weekend instead of every weekend, but that is not the end. You must be willing to compromise. Taking responsibility is a two-way street. Be open to discussing your own role in the situation and ways you can both improve. For example, I know I frustrate you when something's on my mind and I start yelling. I will try and work on that. And the icing on the cake is positive reinforcement. You must acknowledge and appreciate it when he does take responsibility for his actions. It lets him know that you see his effort and he will put forth even more. Remember, change takes time. Don't expect him to become a master of accountability overnight. Be patient and consistent with your communication. Focus on progress. Celebrate small victories. Even acknowledging the issue and having a calm conversation is a step in the right direction. Know your limits. If he is unwilling to take responsibility or the situation is emotionally abusive, considering a breakup might be necessary. I feel like I'm always the one compromising. How do I create more balance?
Compromise?
This is a common concern. And creating a balanced relationship requires open communication and a shift in perspective. You should shift the focus from sacrifice to finding win-win solutions and brainstorm together to find creative ways to meet each other's needs. If compromise isn't the answer, discuss alternative solutions like taking turns getting what you want. For example, if you like 2 different TV shows, take turns watching your favorite show this week and watch his favorite show the next week. Another suggestion is setting boundaries and having separate activities. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So if there's no room for compromise, you can each do your own thing and come back together when you're finished. He is critical of everything I do. How do I build confidence and set boundaries?
Set some boundaries? Boundaries, whoa.
The first thing you need to do is decide what kind of criticism is constructive and what feels destructive. You are unique in the way you personally perceive situations. What you view as a criticism, he may be thankful for that very same information. Let him know you're open to constructive feedback, but only when delivered respectfully. If he starts criticizing, you can calmly say, I can see you're frustrated, but the way you're speaking to me is hurtful. Remember, you teach people how to treat you. If you are not comfortable with how you're being criticized, it's best to set that boundary early so it doesn't grow into something larger and uncontrollable later in the relationship. We haven't had sex in months. How do I initiate intimacy again?
We are in the guest house with the weird people. No intimacy, no sex.
Stress is a common culprit. Explore if work, finances, or family issues are creating a disconnect in your sexy time. If it's any of those things, that's actually good news because you can be a level of support to help him get through those situations. If it's an underlying emotional issue like resentment or insecurity that's stifling your sex life, that is a bit more complicated. That indicates that you are the problem and you have to get your partner to trust you again. Or at the very least, see you in a similar light as they did when you first met. Do what needs to be done to build trust. I suggest you focus on non-sexual forms of intimacy like cuddling, holding hands, or giving massages in the beginning when trying to rebuild your intimate connection. What is your partner's love language? Find out and give them a heavy dose of that. I also encourage you to spend quality time together doing activities you both enjoy. That will allow you to reconnect on an emotional level. One of the biggest mistakes I see couples make is rushing back into physical intimacy during this phase. You should let desire build naturally, focusing on the pleasure of physical connection without pressure for intercourse. Once she starts to feel that comfort level increasing again, the physical intimacy is the next natural progression. We're in a long-distance relationship. How often should I be communicating with her?
Long-distance relationships are hard.
There's no definitive answer to how often couples in long-distance relationships should talk to or see each other. The ideal frequency depends on several factors that you both need to agree on. If the love of your life lives 6 hours ahead of you, that might limit daily calls. You will need to develop flexible schedules to allow for more in-depth connections and conversations. What's your love language? Do you crave constant attention or prefer quality time over frequent check-ins? If you need daily check-ins, then I suggest you be comfortable with shorter calls that are not in-depth. Do you feel secure with daily texts, or do you need deeper conversations to feel connected? If you prefer quality time, make sure to schedule calls spaced out by a couple days at least, so that when you talk, you are able to catch up and experience each other's lives deeply. For example, if both of you live within 500 miles of each other, video calls and many visits a year might suffice. On the other hand, if you live thousands of miles away from each other, frequent video calls and a couple visits per year may work. I'm thinking about getting married, but he has a lot of debt. How do I navigate this?
Well, now he can pay out that too.
First and foremost, do not hide or run from the conversation. It should be had as soon as you start to get serious with each other, but definitely before deciding to move in together. Encourage him to be completely honest with you about his debts and repayment plans. I don't care if it was because of a past relationship. Discuss it openly because it will definitely impact your future together. Make him lay it all on the table for you. You deserve to know, especially if you plan on having a long-term relationship with him. If you're willing to accept him with his financial burdens, make sure he proves that he is researching potential debt consolidation or repayment strategies. She has a higher sex drive than me. How do I say no without hurting her feelings?
Sex drive.
Sex drive.
I won't understate this. Sexual compatibility is very important for a long-term healthy relationship, so it is important to explain why your sex drive might be lower without dwelling on negativity. Common causes include stress and health issues. Sometimes low libido can be due to stress, fatigue, or health concerns. Encourage your partner to see a doctor if you suspect there might be a physical reason. The stigma around low libido isn't what it used to be. But some practical, non-medical advice I can give you is to start with setting a time. Scheduling sex is not a mood killer. Actually, it will increase your libido because of the anticipation. Discuss a frequency you're both comfortable with, and explore ways to build desire. Talk about what you would like to do and how you would like to do it. Do you like foreplay? Is that something that has been lacking in your sex life? What about setting the mood? This one is common, especially once you start having children. But it's important to make sure to give each other quality sexual attention. Brainstorm solutions together, like scheduling date nights dedicated to intimacy, or exploring new sexual positions that meet both your needs. He is going through a hard time right now. How can I best support him emotionally?
But you know what will? Emotional support.
The phrase I hear the most from someone that is going through a rough time is, "I just want to be heard." To provide this need, make sure you validate his feelings. Let him know it's okay to feel sad, angry, scared, or lost. Phrases like, "This must be really tough," or "I understand why you'd be feeling this way," show empathy. Make sure to be a good listener. Let him vent and express his emotions without judgment. Sometimes he won't want to hear solutions to his problems. He just needs someone to listen to him. For example, with a job loss, you can help with job search tasks like updating resumes, practicing interview skills, or searching for openings. You could even offer to be a mock interviewer. The loss of a loved one is not much different. You can help with tasks like making funeral arrangements, dealing with paperwork, or running errands. And the most underrated of them all, general support. During this time, take on more household chores, cook meals, or offer to help with childcare. This frees up time and emotional energy for him to grieve or job search. Tell me, did I leave any out? If you have any questions that you'd like answered, leave them below in the comments. Click on this video next.